My name is Margaret Doyle. I am 71 years old, a retired school librarian, and the sort of woman people in my town come to when they need someone who remembers both their children's birthdays and the name of every book they borrowed. That night, I came to my son Robert's house with a lemon pound cake balanced on my hands, expecting nothing more dramatic than candles and laughter. What I found instead has refused to let me sleep ever since. It was Robert's birthday. The house smelled of barbecue and cologne. Streamers sagged from the ceiling fan, and neighbors filled paper cups with soda, while Vanessa, his new wife, poured herself wine like it was a crown she had earned. In the middle of it all sat my granddaughter, Lily, 6 years old. Bright eyes, shy smile. But that night, her whole face hid beneath a thick pink knit hat pulled down past her eyebrows, as if she wanted to disappear inside it. "Come here, sweetheart," I said. Kneeling, I kissed the top of the hat. It scratched my lips like wool left too long in a drawer. "Let me see you." She shook her head, clutching the hem of her shirt. "Across the room?" Vanessa smirked over the rim of her glass. "She's fine, Margaret, don't fuss. It's just a phase." Something in me prickled. I reached up gently, slid the hat back. The yarn caught on Lily's ears as if it wanted to warn me, and then the room went silent. Her head was bare. Not a trim, not a summer buzz, but shaved to skin, with angry red marks where the clippers had bitten too close. My granddaughter's scalp shone under the kitchen light like a secret no one wanted uncovered. She pressed her hands flat against her thighs, holding herself rigid, the way a child does when she's been told movement itself is a crime. I looked at Vanessa. She lifted her chin, mouth curving into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Relax," she said. "It's hair. It'll grow back." The words slithered across the table, and people laughed nervously, eager to return to cake and conversation. Robert busied himself with stacking paper plates, pretending not to see the shame blooming in his daughter's cheeks. I set the cake down on the counter. My hand was still holding the knife. For a breath, I thought about how heavy it felt, how final it could be. Then I set it aside. What I couldn't put down was the certainty that nothing in this family would be the same after tonight. The pink hat lay where it had slipped from my hand, a small, soft body abandoned on the hardwood. People at the party started talking again, louder than before, the way people do when they want to fill a silence that scares them. Someone cranked the music up half a notch. Someone else poured another drink. It was as if the whole room had agreed not to notice the child standing in the middle of it, stripped of her pride. I bent down to Lily. "Come help me with the candles," I whispered. My voice stayed steady only because fury was hammering inside me so hard it held the words in place. She nodded without looking up. Together we walked into the kitchen, where the noise dulled behind the door. I shut it with my hip and turned the lock. The kitchen smelled of sugar and smoke. I knelt so our eyes could meet. "Tell me, honey," I said, "what happened to your hair?" At first she shook her head, eyes wide as if they had been told to keep their secrets. I took a clean dish towel, dampened it under warm water, and dabbed at the reddest patch on her scalp. She flinched. I saw the little scrape near her crown, raw and angry. A mother's hand hadn't done this. This was punishment. "She said I was spoiled," Lily whispered finally. "She said I cared too much about my ponytails. She said I thought I was better than her because my hair was pretty." Her small shoulders shuddered. "And she said if I told you, she'd cut off my eyelashes so I couldn't look at anybody." The towel trembled in my hand. I wanted to march back into the living room and shout the truth into every adult ear that had laughed along with Vanessa. But the child in front of me mattered more than the cowards in the next room. I touched her cheek. "You are not spoiled, and you are not better or worse than anyone. You are Lily, and you are mine." A knock rattled the door. Robert's voice, uneasy. "Mom, what's going on? People are waiting for cake." "Go slice it yourself," I answered. My voice came out sharp, the way I used to scold students who tried to sneak gum into my library. I lifted Lily into my arms. She wrapped herself around my neck as if her body knew before her mind that we were leaving. When we walked back into the dining room, conversations thinned. The neighbors saw Mr. Harris, who had lived next door since Robert's first marriage, froze with his bottle of wine halfway to the counter. His eyes widened at the sight of Lily's head, then narrowed at Vanessa, who was pretending to admire the balloons. "We're going home," I announced. Vanessa laughed, a brittle sound. "You can't just take her." "Watch me," I said, and I carried Lily out. Mr. Harris stepped aside without a word, holding the door as if he understood more than he was willing to say in public. The night air was heavy with the smell of grilled meat and cut grass. I buckled Lily into the back seat. She traced the window glass with her finger, though it wasn't fogged, just making patterns she could erase quickly if anyone came close. At the first red light, she spoke, voice soft. She said it was a fresh start. I gripped the wheel. "Fresh starts don't come with threats," I told her. "Fresh starts are choices you make, not punishments someone forces on you." At my house, she perched on the bathroom stool while I rummaged in the cabinet. I found the jar of coconut oil I used for dry hands and warmed a little between my palms. I smoothed it across her scalp in gentle circles. She closed her eyes, relaxing for the first time all evening. The shiny layer softened the redness. "Am I ugly now?" she asked. So quiet, I almost missed it. I kissed her forehead. "You are a miracle, and miracles don't depend on hair." That night, she slept in my bed. I read Charlotte's Web until her breathing slowed, but even in sleep, she twisted, whispering apologies to no one. I lay awake, hand on her back to reassure both of us that she was still here. By midnight, I knew silence wasn't safety. I reached for my phone and scrolled to a name I hadn't dialed in years, Elena Brooks, once my brightest student, now a family attorney with a reputation for fire. I typed and erased 3 times before sending. "Something is wrong. I need your help before I make it worse." Her reply came fast. "Tomorrow. 9 Bring facts, not excuses." I lay back down, staring at the ceiling fan circling above us. The house ticked as it cooled, and Lily's small hand twitched against mine. Whatever storm I was about to call down, it had already started the moment I pulled that pink hat from her head. Elena's office smelled of strong coffee and sharpened pencils, a scent I had missed since the days she stayed late in my library to finish essays no one else believed a 13-year-old could write. Now she wore a tailored suit and spoke with the crispness of someone who had memorized not just the law, but the cost of ignoring it. She listened to everything without interrupting once, her pen skating across a yellow pad. When I finished, her first question was, "Did Vanessa threaten Lily if she told?" "Yes." My throat caught on the word, but it came out strong. "And was anyone else present when you discovered the shaved head?" "Mr. Harris next door. He saw us leave." She tapped the pen against the pad. Once, like a gavel. "Then we do this by the book. I'll call Child Protective Services and file a report. You'll take photos of the injuries with timestamps, get Lily to her pediatrician for a medical note, and you'll start her in counseling today if possible. Every document becomes a piece of armor." I exhaled, realizing how shallowly I'd been breathing. "And until then?" "She stays with you. You are her safe placement now. Don't return her to that house until CPS has finished their assessment." That night, I pulled out the old digital camera I used for vacation snapshots and took pictures from every angle. The raw scrape by her crown, the faint red line above her ear, the patchy stubble where the clippers had hesitated. I hated myself for framing my granddaughter's pain like artwork, but evidence mattered more than sentiment. At the pediatrician's office, the nurse's face fell the moment Lily removed her hat. "Oh, sweetheart," she murmured. The doctor inspected gently, then dictated into his recorder. Superficial abrasions consistent with clipper use. Child reports, threat of further harm. Patient visibly distressed. He printed 2 copies, one for me, one for CPS. I folded mine into my purse as if it were scripture. In the afternoon, we met Dr. Sofia Alvarez. Her office had sunlight spilling across a rug patterned with sea glass, shelves lined with wooden toys, and a basket of fidget animals waiting for small, anxious hands. Lily perched on the edge of the couch, twisting her fingers. Dr. Alvarez knelt so their eyes were level. "Hi, Lily. I'm Sophia. You don't have to talk much today if you don't want to. Maybe you can just tell me how your body feels right now. Small, loud, heavy?" Lily's lip trembled. "Small, thank you," the doctor said softly, as if small were the most important word in the world. She glanced at me. "That's enough for today. We'll keep meeting. Little by little, she'll learn her story is safe to tell here." That evening, Lily curled against me on the couch, the television flickering cartoons she didn't watch. She whispered, "What if she cuts my eyelashes while I'm asleep?" I brushed my thumb across her cheek. "She won't, because she's not here, because I am. And because sometimes people say cruel things when they want to feel bigger, but cruelty doesn't get to be the truth." When I tucked her in, she asked, "Can you keep your hand here until I fall asleep?" So I did, palm pressed gently against her back, until her breath steadied. The next morning, an envelope waited in my mailbox. Robert's handwriting scrawled across it. "Mom, you're overreacting. Vanessa feels attacked. Bring Lily back and we'll talk like adults." I pinned the letter under a fridge magnet and called Elena. She drafted a reply that cut cleaner than any blade. "Until CPS concludes its investigation and Lily's clinician clears visitation, Lily will remain in my care. Any visits must be supervised at a neutral site." Robert didn't answer. Silence had always been his favorite weapon. Vanessa, however, texted a picture of a charity donation box brimming with ponytails and braids. Funny what people make such a fuss about. She wrote, I deleted it without reply. "Some fires die faster when starved of oxygen." On day 3, CPS called. The caseworker, Monique, spoke with the practiced calm of someone who has walked through too many broken doorways. She scheduled a home visit for the following week. "Do you have support?" she asked. "Yes," I said, listing them. Dr. Alvarez, the pediatrician, Elena, even Mr. Harris if needed. The words formed a net, and for the first time in days, I felt the knot in my chest loosen. That afternoon, Lily drew with a thick purple crayon, sketching herself with a crown of tiny spikes. "That's me," she said. "See, it's growing back." "Yes, it is," I told her. And I believed it, not just the hair, but the light in her eyes. By the end of week 2, Dr. Alvarez had started a ritual. At each session, Lily named one part of her body that felt a little bigger, a little freer. "My lungs," she said once. "My feet." Another time. On Thursday, she pointed to her eyes. "Because I can still see." That night, Mr. Harris knocked on my door holding a small plastic box. Inside lay a velvet headband dotted with felt daisies. "My Ruth wore this when she had chemo," he explained, his voice tight. "She doesn't need it anymore. Maybe Lily would like the choice." Choice. Such a simple gift. Lily slipped the headband on and grinned, gap-toothed, as if daisies could guard her dreams. I thanked him. And later, when I wrote down everything for Elena's files, I added one more sentence just for myself. Sometimes love isn't permission, it's protection. The quiet ended on a Monday morning with the thud of certified mail against my porch. The envelope smelled like ink and authority. Inside, A petition from Vanessa's attorney accused me of unlawfully keeping Lily, poisoning her against her new mother, and inventing abuse where none existed. That phrase, new mother, sat in my stomach like ice. I carried the papers straight to Elena. She skimmed them with a lawyer's calm disdain. They're banking on speed. Fast filings intimidate people into surrender, but they don't have the weight. She circled a paragraph with her pen. This reads like performance. Don't worry. We'll counter with facts. The pediatrician's note. CPS's open investigation. Dr. Alvarez's reports. Still, worry slithered home with me. That night, while Lily slept with her headband of daisies crooked over one ear, I stared at the ceiling, wondering how much longer we could live in this fragile bubble. On Wednesday, Robert called. His voice cracked through the line like someone pacing in circles. Mom, Vanessa didn't mean... She got carried away. You know how she is. I know exactly how she is, I said. And I know what Lily told me. She threatened a 6-year-old with scissors. He sighed. She's getting help now. Anger management, therapy. She's trying. Trying doesn't erase what happened. My voice softened in spite of myself. You stood in that room, Robert. You saw your daughter's head, and you did nothing. So he didn't answer right away. When he finally spoke, his words were quieter. I didn't know how to stop it without breaking everything apart. I wanted to tell him that sometimes things need to break before they can be mended. Instead, I said, the court will decide now. Not you, not Vanessa, and not me. The following Friday, Monique from CPS came for her visit. She walked through each room with a clipboard, noting safety locks on cabinets, the child-sized toothbrush by the sink, the drawings taped to the fridge. Lily trailed her shyly until Monique crouched to ask, "Do you feel safe here?" Lily nodded, and when Monique pressed, "Do you want to stay here?" she whispered. "Yes." Afterward, Monique told me in the kitchen, "We'll recommend temporary placement with you pending the hearing, but judges want to see progress on both sides. Document everything." She tapped her folder. Consistency is what protects children. By week 4, Lily was beginning to laugh again, quick bursts that startled us both. She built block towers taller than her head and toppled them with glee. At dinner, she announced she could taste colors. Green beans were sharp like grass. Spaghetti was red like fireworks. Sometimes she still woke at night, whispering apologies into the pillow. But now she let me soothe her back with a sip of water and a story. Healing isn't linear, Dr. Alvarez reminded me, but it was visible. Meanwhile, Vanessa doubled down. Her lawyer sent another letter accusing me of alienating Lily. The neighbors whispered about tension spilling from the Doyle house. Mr. Harris stopped by with tomatoes from his garden and muttered, "Folks notice more than they admit." His quiet loyalty felt like sandbags against a rising flood. Elena prepared me for the upcoming hearing. "The key," she said, "is showing that your home is stable, safe, and that Lily's well-being has improved under your care. Judges don't want theatrics. They want evidence. Evidence we had. Photographs, medical notes, therapy reports, CPS evaluations. But evidence is cold. What melted me every time was Lily's voice when she asked if I could braid the headband into her new tufts of hair, or when she laughed at the cat pawing at her shoelaces. That was what we were protecting, not just safety, but joy. The night before the preliminary hearing, Robert came to my porch. He looked worn, like someone carrying the wrong load for too long. "I'm sorry. Mom," he said, "I should have stopped it. I should have said something." "You still can," I told him. He looked past me toward the living room where Lily's giggles floated, his face folded in on itself, If I testify against Vanessa, I lose my marriage. If you don't, I said, you lose your daughter. He didn't answer, but he didn't leave either. He stood on that porch until the porch light flickered out, as if waiting for courage to arrive. Inside, Lily crawled into my lap and pressed her cheek against my chest. "Grandma," she murmured, "when do I go back?" My heart clenched. "We'll see what the judge says, but no matter what, you will always have me." Her eyes fluttered closed, lashes safe, hair beginning to sprout like spring after a cruel winter. Week 4 ended with papers on the kitchen table, subpoenas and affidavits stacked beside crayons and half-finished drawings. 2 worlds balanced on the same wood grain. The bell of the courtroom was about to ring, and we both knew the quiet wouldn't last. The courthouse smelled of polish and nerves. I held Lily's hand as we passed through security, her fingers small but steady in mine. She wore the daisy headband Mr. Harris had given her, tufts of new hair poking through like green shoots after rain. Elena walked beside us, files clutched to her chest, calm as ever. Inside the family courtroom, the benches creaked with neighbors who had come to witness, some curious, some supportive. Robert sat at the respondent's table, shoulders hunched, eyes rimmed with fatigue. Vanessa beside him looked composed, though the twitch in her jaw betrayed the storm beneath. The judge entered, a woman with silver hair and a gaze that cut through excuses. "We are here to determine the temporary placement of the minor child. Lily Doyle," she began. Her voice carried no indulgence. Elena presented our case first. She laid out photographs of Lily's scalp, the pediatrician's report, the therapy notes from Dr. Alvarez, and the CPS evaluation recommending temporary placement with me. She spoke with the precision of a surgeon, clean, efficient, impossible to dismiss. Vanessa's lawyer countered with claims of exaggeration, accusing me of alienation. But the judge's brow lifted when Vanessa muttered under her breath, loud enough for those near to hear. Elena let the silence hang just long enough before she called Dr. Alvarez to testify. The therapist described Lily's nightmares, her whispered fears of losing her eyelashes, her gradual sense of safety in my home. This child associates her grandmother's house with stability and peace. Dr. Alvarez concluded. The judge nodded, then looked at Lily. "Sweetheart, would you like to tell me where you feel safest right now?" The courtroom hushed. Lily's hand tightened in mine. She rose slowly, voice trembling but clear enough to pierce every corner of the room. "I want to stay with Grandma. I don't have bad dreams there. I can breathe." Robert lowered his head into his hands. Vanessa stared straight ahead, unmoving. The judge's gavel struck once. "Given the evidence, I order that temporary custody remain with Mrs. Doyle for 6 months. The father and stepmother may have supervised visitation, contingent upon continued therapy and compliance with parenting classes." Relief spread through me like warmth after frost. Lily sagged against my side, the weight of her small body grounding me. Outside the courthouse, sunlight spilled across the steps. Reporters hadn't come. No headlines would shout our story. But Lily lifted her face to the sky, the daisy headband catching the light, and smiled for the first time in weeks without hesitation. I brushed a finger over the new fuzz along her scalp. "See, it's growing." She grinned. "So am I." In that moment, I believed her. That night, back home, I tucked her into bed beneath the quilt her mother had sewn years ago. The house clicked as it cooled, the same old rhythm I'd listened to for decades. But it no longer felt like an empty echo. It felt like a vow. People say hair grows back. That's true. But trust grows slowly, tender as a sprout, and only when guarded. My granddaughter had been stripped of something she should never have lost. Yet as I watched her sleep peacefully, lashes intact, I knew this. Love is not letting anything or anyone take away what makes a child whole. And for the first time since that pink hat fell to the floor, I slept through the night. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these family drama and revenge stories, please subscribe and join me for more every day.